When two uninvited guests, nicknamed Port and Starboard, arrived, flexed their apex predator muscles, and poof, the great whites vanished. Now, great whites sightings are rare, but the mission to protect them is stronger than ever. Dyer Island Conservation Trust and Marine Dynamics, armed with science and passion, are working around the clock to protect what's left of the great white's legacy. Even if the sharks are in hiding, the fight for the future is front and center.
My name is Wilfred Chivel, and I'm lucky to be living close to the southernmost tip of Africa, in a place called Gansbaai. I've been living here my whole life. Because of an economic crash 25 years ago, I lost my business, and I had a small boat, and I was a diver, and I knew the area well, and I started taking people out on a small boat to watch the seals, and then to start watching whales. I got a permit from the government. I started to do shark cage diving 20 years ago now. But because I made a living from these animals, I immediately employed marine biologists and helped them to study the animals that we were making a life from.
Scientists here work tirelessly day and night to protect the future of our oceans, but the road to sustainability isn't always easy.
The strange thing is that not a lot of people in the fishing community care about sharks. The community getting jobs from the shark cage diving industry is much more alert about sharks than the fishing community, which is actually very sad, because the fishing community should know that if you don't fish responsibly, there won't be fish left for the next generation.
It's a complicated relationship. Finding a balance isn't easy, but it's essential. Thanks to the efforts at Marine Dynamics, an orca shark zone was established, stretching from Gansbaai Harbour all the way to Dyer Island.
Of course, when you have a community that is built on fishing as a livelihood, there was some questioning that came with this, even for the purpose of recreational fishermen too. When it comes to our shark cage diving, that is a non-consumptive way to interact with your environment. So we wanted to make sure, of course, that we were utilizing our sharks in a way that is sustainable and creates income, not only for these companies, but then for the wider community as well. So when it does come to the fishermen, there will be backlash, but you have to provide the alternatives and show them the sustainability as to why you are making these decisions. Because of course, once our sharks are no longer in our ecosystem, that's when our ecosystem will collapse. Those fishing industries, they will collapse.
Change doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience, understanding, and hope. But to truly protect these incredible creatures, we first need to know them, recognize them not just as sharks, but as individuals with their own stories.
What we would utilize when we're out on the boats is our dorsal fin ID. So you want to get a photo, essentially where the dorsal is directly within that camera view. They have these individual grooves and notches that form over time, and those are unique to each of the sharks. So it does mean that is the fingerprint for each of those individuals. So if you get a photo, you know which individual we're working with. So you can count them as re-sightings, or say that a new individual is in the area as well.
Protecting sharks isn't just about keeping them alive. It's securing a future where entire communities can thrive alongside a healthy ocean. But even with human cooperation, nature has its own plans. Orcas are still unleashing chaos, great whites are still washing ashore, dead, damaged, and we're left trying to understand why. Susie is working to uncover the mystery behind these deaths.
This is actually the first case of a orca predation on white shark confirmed in South Africa. It was a 4.9 meter female that washed up. It's a massive white shark. You can clearly see in the middle here you have a big hole, and that means there has been a predation. So when we did this necropsy, we can also determine the way the shark was killed. So the way we can know it was orcas have done it, that is due to the rake marks, so the teeth marks. So the method these two orcas use when it is a predation, they do try to turn the shark upside down into something called tonic immobility, and that is a trance state for sharks that paralyzes sharks for a few minutes where they cannot move. And then they grab the pectoral fins and rips it open, make a little incision just in the middle here, and then they just take the liver out. So it's like a surgical incision, and that's the only organ they will feed on. So the reason for this, especially with this white shark that weighs over 1,000 kilograms, it is 1/3 of their body weight. So just that liver alone is a massive meal for these orcas. And also in the liver is something called squalene. That is the liver content, the oil. And they store all their energy in there. There's nutrient-rich diet, and that is exactly what these orcas want. During this time, there was 3 necropsies done on 3 great white sharks in 7 days. So there was a lot of work.
Learning how the sharks were being killed was only part of the heartbreak.
Yeah, the harrowing reality of that was we were able to identify one individual that was on the necropsy table, and it was one of the individuals we had in front of our cages and were encountered by Alison Towner, who was the researcher for the white sharks at that time during that stage as well.
The ocean is a place of beauty, mystery, and sometimes heartbreak. Even as we fight to protect it, nature reminds us that survival is a constant battle. But with every challenge, we learn, adapt, and grow stronger, determined to give these majestic creatures a fighting chance.